Hi, in this video I will be demonstrating how to install the foam treatment on your walls. This is for the higher frequencies and this is for lower frequencies, and this is a corner piece. I'll show you how to install this type of foam for a long-term installation. I'll show you how to glue it onto a plastered wall, a wooden surface, and even on face brick. Even if you want to blow it with a blower, the method that I'm showing is long-term. It's not flimsy. I'll show you how to install it on uneven surfaces. I'll even demonstrate how to get around a wall that's not a perfect square. Over here, we've got a 45-degree wall, and look at this. This thing is solid. It's not going anywhere. I'll also demonstrate how to cut the foam and even fix mistakes along the way. And right at the end of the video, I'll also explain how you know whether your sound treatment has reduced the reverberation time or not. The method that I'm going to show requires glue. It is a permanent solution. If you're applying the foam onto wood or drywalling, consider using nails or panel pins. However, if you're going to be setting up a sound treatment for long term, I highly recommend rather using the glue. One can also use a double-sided tape. In my experience, the double-sided tape doesn't stick to the foam that well. Yes, it might seem like a temporary solution. When you have to remove the double-sided tape off the wall, it makes the same amount of mess as glue. So I just use the glue because the glue is way quicker and it actually is cheaper. So the first step is to get some contact adhesive. Don't buy the one that's in the tube. You will need quite a lot. Shake it up, open the container, and that's what it looks like. Now, while paintbrushes can be useful for applying adhesive to foam and walls, I recommend a scraper because you can spread it more, and also you don't need a lot of the adhesive onto the wall. So you want to scatter these foam squares on the reflective surfaces. So over here, I've got a plastered wall, has a lot of reflection, so I'm going to put some just behind this light. In this case, I'm going to put 8 squares. So it's going to be 2, 4, 6, 8. Now, if you want to be accurate, then I recommend using a measuring tape and a pencil. Right, so I'm just going to mark off here. I want it 5 centimeters from the edge of this wall. There we go. Now I'm just taking my spirit level and I'm going to mark it off. The first square is going to be like that. Now, because it's 30 centimeters per square and I'm putting 4 in a row, it's 1.2 meters down. So I can see where I'm going to end. Right, so I've marked off 5 centimeters there and 5 centimeters further down. In this case, it's 5 centimeters up here, but over 6 centimeters at the bottom. So the plastering is actually a bit skew. So say, for example, this side is skew. Yes, you could take this as the reference and then make sure that the gap there and the gap there is the same. But the problem will be these horizontal lines, because what will happen is when you look at it from afar, you will see that these lines are skew. So the other option is to just go with the spirit level. So say, for example, that's the level. Then yes, you will see it look a bit weird on the side, but then the horizontal lines will be completely straight. The compromise method is to make it as straight as possible, but still as close as possible here. So that means you're kind of compensating for the skew wall, but also this line won't be completely straight. But when you look at it from afar and you see this line versus those lines, it doesn't look as bad. So that's one way to get around that. The same applies if it's the roof line. Now the last foam square is going to sit about there. So I'm just going to mark off my end line. But the trick here is I don't want the line to be below the foam. What I mean by that is I don't want to see the line. Also, it doesn't matter if the glue doesn't go right to the edge of the foam. So I'm going to make my mark a little bit higher. So over there it's 1.2 meters, but just in case the foam isn't quite the exact size from their factory, I'm just going to lift that up by like 1 centimeter. Now 2 foam squares is 60 centimeters wide, so it's going to go to there. So I just mark it off on the wall, and I mark it a little bit less than 60. I mark it at about 58, and the reason is I don't want to see all these marks on the side of the foam, because the foam is actually going to cover them. Right, so there's actually a pencil drawn template, so now I know where to apply the glue. Here's the vertical boundary line for the other side, but keep in mind that the actual width of the foam will be about here, outside of this line. So that's 1.2 meters where the foam should go up to, but that's the line where I'm going to glue up until. And the reason for that is I don't want the glue to be seen from under the foam. Put something on the floor to catch any of the glue that may drip from the scraper. I use the very same foam that I'm going to stick on the wall, because if it drips onto the foam, then it just saves me glue. Then that foam panel already has glue. Make sure your contact adhesive has been mixed or shaken. Now I'm going to apply it to the wall. The scraper is more difficult to use than a paintbrush. So if it's your first time, I would use a paintbrush. However, I'm going to show you the fastest way, and that is the scraper. So I dip my scraper into the glue. I get it like that. I roll it. And then I immediately apply it to the wall and I quickly go to the other side. It doesn't matter if there's a lot in one place. This is the beauty of the scraper. You can just scrape it and smear it across. You've got to do this quite quick. I'm going to put some on the scraper, and there's quite a bit. So it doesn't matter if it looks like a mess now. Don't worry. All I'm going to do is catch the corners there. And because I've got that line, I can see where I can go up until. If I go a little bit over the line, it's fine, because remember that the square is actually ending there. Now all I really need to do is get the corner areas So I just need to catch the corners. Now do this in a very well ventilated area. The fumes are quite annoying. See, I want to get this edge here. That's what I want to do. I want to catch the edge. Now there's too much glue here, so I can actually scrape it down. Right, so I don't need all this glue here. I can bring it down to here. If you work quite slowly, my advice is put the foam ready now. But if you go quickly, then you can put more glue and then put all the foam squares at once. Right, so it's sticky and I don't want to wait too long, so I can immediately put the first foam square. I have my reference point, which is this top right corner, and I can put it there. If I've made a mistake, it's not a problem, I can pull it off. Look how well that it's already sticking. I didn't even massage it on. So I want to put this on here. I've got a little spirit level here just to check. It's going a little bit too high. Okay, so I misplaced this. Parallax error. I'm just going to place it better. Right, quick spirit level check. Now I can put the next two. And you want to try to squish it up a little bit. You don't want to have a space in there. Dust gets in there. Now you might see this one is a little bit skewed. Not a problem. I just take it off and realign it. The glue hasn't dried yet, and I want to get these corners nice and aligned up. Right, I just do some quality control here. Check the sides. Yes, spirit level shows it straight. That's perfect. All right, so these are actually fine. Press them down. Don't smear it. Press it. Now, say for example, there was a bit of a gap here. Maybe your foam didn't sit nicely. Maybe your foam was more like that. The nice thing about the glue is all you need to do is lift and place. So it's got some flexibility for errors and you'll close that gap. That's the beauty of using the glue. Of course, it does depend how much glue you've used. If you covered the whole wall, then yes, you can pretty much do anything you want. And because it's foam, if there's a little gap, you can just lift it and pull it. You can see how I can maneuver if I want to, but I didn't need to do that. I was just showing you that if you've got a little gap, lift and move to the side. My boundary line is over here, so it might look like it's a mess, but I'm not done. So I just get some of the glue, but now I must be very careful. I mustn't let it drip past that line. Notice the important points, middle and sides. I've intentionally placed it incorrectly. I want to show you how to deal with this mistake. First, get the one side perfect. So I'm just checking, yes, it's straight underneath. Perfect. So this square is perfect. So I can actually press it down. But I've placed this square a little bit skew. There's a gap there, there's a gap there. So what do? Because the glue is still wet, I can lift it and pull it and reform it. I can actually reseat it. I want to get it right in there. And just to show you how you can maneuver this, look at that. I mean, that's how much scope you've got for error correction. Look how much I've shifted it. Right, so I don't want that. I want these lines, I want these to be exactly lined up, and I want it close. I want these things to be close. So notice how it's almost like I'm stitching them together. Right, so now I check it, and I see that it's fine, and I'm giving it a nice press. All right, firm presses. If you look at this, are you able to determine where the beginning of one foam square is and where the end of another foam square is? That's it. So even here on the edge, it's perfectly straight. And that's why I said you can lift and move a little bit. Now this is perfectly straight, no squares jutting out anywhere. So there's one place where it's not so good, and that's right there. And that's not a problem. I can lift it up and redo it if I wanted to. If the glue's not dry, I can actually form it right now. All right, so leave it to dry for a couple of hours. A little trick, you can cut these foam pieces. So I just need to measure, and then I can cut along this line here. Okay, so in this case, I need to cut it there. Now, the most accurate way to cut it is to press it down and then take a blade and to cut along the surface here. If you cut with the scissors, it might look like that. So be very careful when you're cutting it. Try to cut straight or use a blade. If you do use the scissors, this is how you can place it. So I've cut using the scissors, but the best way is to use a blade because as you can see, there is some distortion here. But don't worry too much because when I glue it, I press it in a little bit. So it will cover those distortions. All right, so I just put the foam here and I'm just marking kind of on the inside. So the foam would actually be over there. So when I glue, I know I can go around here, but to about this line here because I've marked it here. But the foam will actually go a little bit further. A nice thing about using a scraper is you can actually go underneath the old foam. Nice adhesion. So I'm actually pressing it quite close to the other one. And that's because I cut it. If you've spilled some glue on any of the foam, it's not a problem. When it's dry, you can just peel it off. It comes right off. If you're not coming right with putting the glue on the wall, if you're worried about that, you can put the glue directly on the foam, but you will use quite a bit more glue. My advice is use a narrower scraper and just dab it. It is a bit of a messy job, but all you need to do is dab it like this. Corners, and I just want to get to the corner, and then here, this corner and that corner. If it's on a place where there's going to be a lot of foot traffic and people are going to be brushing past, then yes, you want to put more. But notice how it gets into the foam, so you end up using more. For little pieces like this, it makes sense to put the glue directly onto the foam. There, I've put lots of glue, but in a moment you'll notice that it'll go into the foam and it's kind of lost. There, it's already getting absorbed into the foam. So if you put too much, you're just wasting it. Don't worry if that happens. If you put some on the side, it's fine. It's actually good. It will glue onto the other side that you are gluing it to, but don't put it on all the sides because some sides are exposed, meaning they won't be covered. So if you do that, it's fine. That just means it will sit nicely with the other piece. You glue it into that piece. Now over here, there's actually a mistake. This wasn't placed nicely. There's a bit of a gap. And I want to show you how to remove foam if there's a problem. You want to get your scraper right in there, and there's where it's glued. I'm gently pulling on the foam while I'm using the scraper like that. And look at this. So what needed to happen is this needed to be glued a little bit closer there. So I just re-glue it. I don't need a lot of glue. I can put it on the surface or I can put it on the foam. In this case, I'm going to put it on both. And it doesn't matter if a little bit goes on the side here because it's hidden. Now I'm going to tuck it in there, and there's the mistake. But now I'm going to lift it and stretch it, and I'm going to place it in. So it's a little bit to the side, so I can just bring it a little bit in. I went over the line a bit, check the lines. On a face brick wall, just find the bricks that are protruding the most. You don't have to get every single brick. So I just need to put a little bit on these bricks here. All right, so I put it in the corner and then I move the foam back a bit. Then I can see, all right, it'll be around there. So I know that the glue must not go over the line. On the ceilings, it can get quite dusty, so just blow it out. We've got face brick here, so I'll just put a little bit on the highest point of the brick, and that's fine. Now just take your spirit level and check that that line is straight. So here in the corner, I've got different surfaces, different levels. I've got this first level is the plastered wall, which is the easiest to work on and use the least glue. And then next to it is the face brick. So I want to go for the highest level. So I'm finding the brick that's the highest, and that's enough. Right, so I'm just checking. Yes, perfect. All right, so I'm going down here. I look for the highest profile brick. I look sideways. I can see it's that one. Feel with my hand here. It's definitely here, here. All right, so I've got a few anchor points here. Now, you couldn't possibly use nails here. Even double-sided tape would be a mess. Right, so these crevices here, I cannot get them all in line because the face brick is at different levels. Unfortunately, the wall here is also not a perfect square. These have different sides. If I put it like that, it actually shows the misalignment more, and that probably will look worse. So in that case, I'm specifically putting it out of alignment. I'm specifically putting it on the other side, so it's obviously different. So that means the next one I'll flip as well. You want to get the glue into the fibers of the foam. So I just want to press it down a bit here. If you put glue in between them, it's also fine because that will glue onto that. So this is to reduce the bass that builds up in the corners. You get these bass modes, low frequencies. All right, so this is a 45-degree corner. Bass frequencies still accumulate even though it's 45 degrees because we've got two walls meeting each other. I'm going to have to put the foam there. It's not going to quite fit because these are 90-degree foams. Quickly just blow out the wall. All right, so this is a 90-degree piece of foam, but if I put it like that, as you can see, it's stuff up. So what you can do is just shift it to the side, bring the other one. So I've flipped it so that it matches nicely, and it's actually got a bit of movement here, which is perfect. So the way to reduce bass is something needs to move. You need to absorb that sound energy. It's kinetic energy. So the fact that there's a bit of movement here is not a problem. It's actually good. So now I'm just going to glue on this line to hold these in place. You might need to hold it in place for a few minutes, but if you're quick, you can already start with the ones underneath. You can also glue in between the foam. You can put a bit of glue here and a bit of glue there. I can also do that later. It's not a problem as long as it's on the wall for now. If you use the paintbrush, you'll have lots and lots of sand and stuff coming off the bricks, and it will just be a mess, and you'll just make your glue dirty, because every time you put the paintbrush into the glue tin, it'll get more and more contaminated with sand. That's why I like the scraper. All right, so just the places where you've glued, just give it a bit of a poke. When putting the foam along the wall, use a spirit level. What has happened here is I didn't use a spirit level and I'm totally skewed. So it's not a problem. I just need to fix this one and the one below. To get the foam off the wall, you can use a blade and cut it off. My experience is the scraper is actually better. I just need to get the foam off the brick surface. I just use my scraper and I scrape it. That's what I do. So I just want the foam off the wall. So all I'm doing is I'm scraping it. You can use a blade, and I'm pushing the scraper against the brick. So I'm going against the brick, and there it's releasing the foam. It doesn't matter if the foam gets a bit damaged, because it's going to be re-stuck down and you won't see the underside. Now where the blade comes in useful is here. I just want to cut it off the foam on top. So there we go. So that's what it looks like. Yes, there is a little bit of damage there, but it's going to be stuck down again. So I just need to stick it straight this time. I know it's tempting to just pull this off the wall, but you might leave a whole chunk of foam and break this piece of foam. So best is to just be patient and use the right tool. Okay, that's done. Now I'm going to use a spirit level to mark off the line. Just putting a little bit on the foam, which is going to attach to the other foam. Right, just do a quick quality control check. If you want to, you can actually glue these directly together. You can open it, put a touch of glue there, and align them. And now this is completely straight on both sides. Now, what happens if you're a little bit rough and you actually tear the foam? I'm literally tearing a piece of foam off here. Look at that. I tore that off there by mistake, but really I did it for the camera. All right, so that doesn't look very nice, but I've just did it just to show that all I need to do is just put a tiny bit of glue on this side, just a tiny bit. Like you could even use a screwdriver. You can actually just dab the foam into the glue. Really, it doesn't need much. And I'm just showing that if you tore your foam, it's also okay. You can just rebuild it. I just pinch it to get rid of the glue on the sides. And there we go. So one can't even see that repair. You might be wondering whether the sound treatment does reduce the reverberation time, reduces some of that reverberation. So that can be tested. Over here, I've got a decay curve for a balloon pop. For example, one can pop a balloon in the studio, and here I've got a wooden arm that is connected to a pin, pop the balloon, and then I can map the decay time of the different frequency bands. And then I can check the reverberation time, also the early decay time. For example, one can pop the balloon in different locations, move the microphone as well in different locations, and then map the early decays and the reverberation time across the entire room. So one can get an idea if there's different reverberation times in different parts of the studio. So just for example, this was in a concert hall, and we can see that the reverberation time ranged from 1.8 to 2.8, depending on where I was in the concert hall. So this is a common thing in certain rooms where the reverberation is different depending on where you sit. One has to check the reverberation time in different places of the venue. So how do we know that the sound treatment has had a positive impact or reduced the reverberation time? So this would be the decay slope before I did the treatment. And if the room becomes dead, it would look more like this. We can see there's far less reflected waves, meaning the reverberation time would have reduced. Just as an example from another venue, here with the reverberation times of the different frequencies. And since we use the foam, we would expect the higher frequencies to be reduced and a little bit in the lower because we used those squares. So to determine the impact, one would then say, okay, well, what products did they use? If they used the foam on the walls, then you're looking more in the higher frequency range. So you would expect the reverberation time to have reduced a bit. So the new waveform would be much lower. So you would see a much lower reverberation time. That's how you would measure that. You would do the impulse test, check the wave, and then you see, okay, did the reverberation time reduce by adding that sound treatment? So after extensive treatment, maybe your setup would look more like that. And then your reverberation time has reduced drastically. Please let us know in the comments how your installation is going and if you found any good suppliers for good sound treatment. Thanks for watching, and cheers.